1 mile from the U.S. border, thousands of people escaping poverty and violence in Central America find themselves trapped in the city of Mexicali.
Tonight, chaos erupting on the border, a humanitarian crisis as questions increase looking for solutions to calm the situation.
The U.S. government's hardline stance on immigration has left them stateless and homeless. They are now being targeted by a vile criminal trade, the buying and selling of human organs.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Bien, bien, aquí estamos a la orden.
I've come to meet Gonzalo, who has provided refuge to over 7,000 migrants in Mexicali in the last few years.
So tell me a bit about this neighborhood. What sorts of issues have you been seeing?
Hay mucha delincuencia organizada, porque nos llega gente que fue secuestrada, violando sus derechos humanos y les han quitado un órgano por haber llegado con la ilusión del sueño americano.
How many people have you personally seen or experienced that have had their kidneys extracted?
Pues han sido unas 20 personas.
What happened to them?
Se fue un grupo, estamos hablando como de 15 personas, a cruzar. Otras personas en los cuales les invitaron soda. El paso a seguir fue que pues, se durmieron. Cuando despertaron, uno de ellos me platicó que se ladea y le duele la espalda. Y ahí fue donde se sale y tenía poquito sangre, pero a la vez sintió una cortada. Entonces se sorprendió. Él le habla a su hermano y a su primo y llorando así, sin riñón, sin un riñón.
These people were just sedated and tricked and had their organs extracted.
Es el modus vivendus. No es una persona ni dos, son grupos que es una mafia fronteriza.
I knew the buying and selling of organs was happening here, but hadn't expected to find that people were also being drugged and butchered. Mexico's vile and exploitative criminal trade in human organs is fueled by a health crisis across the border in the US. In 2020, nearly 90,000 Americans were waiting for a kidney transplant, yet only 1 in 5 received a donor. On average, 20 US citizens die every day waiting for an organ transplant. This leads some Americans to turn to the black market, but they have little idea about the human misery that lies behind the trade. After weeks of working connections in the criminal underworld, we've made contact with an organ trafficking gang who claim to work across international borders, bringing US patients into Mexicali. They prey on migrants, offering them $5,000 in exchange for a kidney.
I always feel nervous about meeting someone who operates within the black market. That's always something that I get the jitters before going in. All right, let's go. It's a pit bull dog.
Hacen con confianza, con confianza. Con confianza.
There's three guys in masks. How big is your team?
Between 10, 15, up to 20 people. Right here, Mexicali, US, Mexicali, and the people.
And they include doctors? This is part of your team?
Well, there's one doctor right here. Is the one who take the blood out and take him to the laboratory, so they give you the results that he's a compatible person.
Why do you go after the poor people to get their kidney?
It's not the poor people, because there's plenty of people from the South that came looking for the American dream and this stuff in here. They don't have jobs, they don't have nothing right here. So talk to them and offer a easy solution. Because a lot of people know that you can live with only with kidney. He's gonna get out something on his body, but he will get well. I'm not a demon, I'm just doing my job. and helping people. Get some money for do that.
The organ trafficker tells me that he pays off corrupt medical staff to get lists of kidney patients in US hospitals. If they're interested in his service, they have to send him a blood sample.
So your US clients, going back to the US, because that's what I'm really curious about. So you have Arizona,
Yeah,
California,
Florida,
Nevada,
and closer the Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Once the doctor and his gang has tested the sample, he scours the streets of Mexicali for homeless migrants whose blood is compatible with the American client. He lets us follow him as he preys on the most vulnerable.
As soon as I started asking them how licensed trading engineer in Mexicali, they started throwing me the problem that he had. So that's when we started to listen. I tell him that I got his money. ¿Usted tiene, está sano, su persona es sano?
Sí,
¿Sí? ¿Todo bien?
yo me siento bien.
¿Sabe que puede vivir sin un riñón usted, verdad?
No, yo no vengo a mis cosas.
No vende sus órganos, perfecto. Está bien.
Police everywhere, huh? But is he someone you'd go after? He's kind of old.
I could go with him and tell him, because he will go to tell the other people.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. He's going to.
Now you see how everyone's can get my information.
I see.
It's like a chain.
A few minutes later, another homeless migrant appears.
Mira, tengo probablemente pueda ser tu solución a tu problema de dinero. Porque, ¿sabes que puedes tú vivir sin un riñón? Tengo uno más. Puedes dar 5,000.
Con un riñón.
Sí. ¿Cómo ves?
Está de pensarse, pero sí, se ocupa
Sí, sería bueno que lo pensaron, porque todo es consentimiento tuyo y lo firmas y ya hacemos todo papeleo bien. Y el dinero está aquí en efectivo. Pero solo tenemos que hacer unos exámenes para ver tu compatibilidad para la persona que ocupamos en el trasplante. Yo seguro que ustedes bien. Tomate C19, y tomate C19.
Sí, porque en la familia también pues sí, aquí pues ahorita está muy dura la cosa y...
Eso sería bueno. ¿Cómo tú me hablas en qué tanto tiempo?
To my left, there's rows of homeless people just laying on the street. And this guy came from that same alleyway.
People can live with one kidney, but it's a highly complicated surgery. Only the most desperate would place their life in the hands of a black market surgeon.
Organ trafficking, organ harvesting is a hideous crime. For the facilitators, this is just business. They see these people as money, you know. And because they're vulnerable, because there's nobody to defend them there, many of these people are also tricked into it. They will, even tell them, you're young, you know, your kidney will grow back, which obviously is a medical impossibility. I mean, there are so many risks involved with these illegal surgeries that are performed in places that sometimes aren't even hospitals, in places, you know, where there's no hygiene. A lot of these people may become sick. It can also be deadly. A kidney can be sold with $100,000, and then the money that the migrant, the poor people get are a tiny fraction of that. So most of the money is left with the facilitator and the surgeon. It takes a network to develop this type of organ trade. And it's almost always across borders. Because in order for a facilitator of this organ harvesting business to be successful, to make money, they need to operate between rich countries and poorer countries, or conflict areas and economies that are stable. because this is where the money is.
The trafficking gangs work with a network of corrupt doctors across Mexico. Surgeons here earn just $22,000 per year, 14 times less than doctors in the US. So some are easily lured into the trade.
So my fixer just revealed some information to me about a doctor who's been operating in the black market business for 6 years, and we are about to go meet with him. ¿Cómo estás?
Bien, bien, ¿ustedes?
So can you tell me a little bit about how you got into the clandestine part of your job?
En la medicina atendemos gente de bien, gente de la mafia, narcotraficantes.
I've interviewed people who've recruited migrants off the street to sell their organs. What do you think about that?
Nunca una gente que tenga dinero va a vender su órgano. Siempre tiene que ser una gente pobre.
Who are you operating on? Are your clients American, or what are their background?
No, son de todo el país, pero también hay extranjeros de la frontera vecina, porque obviamente el costo varía mucho de allá hacia acá, por eso.
Are the cartels involved?
Bueno, yo creo que no, pues todos los cárteles están involucrados. Pues a mí me llevaron, ahí sí, de manera forzada. Tenían a una persona, una levantada, una persona que tenían ahí secuestrada, porque debía $60,000 y querían que se les pagara con un riñón. Entonces, pues obviamente pagó con un riñón, ¿sí? Pero ahí sí, no había opción, lo teníamos que hacer. Igual puedes cobrar muy bien por esto, pero igual te obligan a hacerlo sin ningún centavo. Es un doble filo.
He claims the cartels sometimes force him to work for free, but the organ trafficking gang he mainly works for pays him highly lucrative fees.
How much money do you make?
Si son riñones, que es lo más frecuente, pues menos, ¿no? Son $30,000-$40,000. Si es hígado, son $60,000-$70,000. Corazón, pues ahí ya se van a $100,000-$150,000, dependiendo, ¿no? O sea, depende de la dificultad y el riesgo del órgano.
The surgeon refuses to tell us where he gets hearts and livers from, but the implication is horrifying. One of Mexico's notorious cartels has been linked to the trade. In 2014, the Knights Templar were investigated on suspicion of kidnapping and murdering children to harvest their organs for sale. There have also been 2 horror stories about dead tourist bodies being stripped for body parts in Mexican hospitals. But the scale of organ trafficking in Mexico is largely hidden, as most of the victims can't turn to the authorities for help.
Migrants, because of their illegal status, in most cases, especially on the Mexico-US border, they have no rights. They need the money to cross the border. They need the money to survive, and they have nothing except their own bodies. There are so many people who are missing in Mexico, and nobody knows nothing about their fate. From time to time, they find these fields where lots of bodies are buried, and many of these people are migrants. Many of these, bodies are burnt already or chopped to pieces. They can't really go to the police because many of the police in these areas are corrupt, and they're working hand in hand with the traffickers. The migrants, being the victims, are not a priority at all for the Mexican law enforcement. There are so many other things that they're focused on, like the war on drugs. The US is trying to stop this migration from Central America via Mexico into the United States. The migrants and their lives and their health is nowhere on the list of priorities, neither in Mexico nor in the United States. So this makes them the perfect victims. They're victims that will not leave a trace.
We've discovered migrants are not the only victims. We've made contact with one trafficker who recruits directly from Mexico's prison system.
Soy intermediario entre el donador y la persona que necesita el órgano, el riñón.
How do you get someone to sell their kidney from prison?
Tienen necesidad de salir y ellos tienen un recurso económico para poder salir de ahí. Entonces, te venden tu riñón, a ellos no les importa, ellos quieren salir de ahí. Así de fácil.
The trafficker claims his money can help prisoners get back on their feet once they leave. He is desperate to close his next deal.
Are you nervous? Your feet are... No?
I don't live with emotions.
You have no emotions?
No, I don't like emotions. Órale, ¿y cuándo te falta para salir de ahí? Pues la neta, jefe, no sé, yo ya estoy en la neta, yo también ya estoy a punto de salir. ¿Ah, sí? Ya tengo 5 años, por lo que vengo yo no... De cualquier manera necesitas dinero, pues. Sí, pues, es obvio. Ah, órale. Oye, y es que pasa esto, que ocupo que te tengo un receptor, una persona que ocupa un riñón. Ah, ¿y qué onda? ¿Sí jalas? Pues, ¿qué te parece? $5,000. ¿Cuánto? 5,000. 5,000, si estás apto, pues, para que lo dones. ¿Cómo ves? ¿Sí? Sí. Ah, bueno, entonces voy de visito, pues. Eso es un trato. Ah, ok, está bien, gracias, pues, Ándale, pues, hasta luego, hermano. Que estés bien. Cuídate. Ya vi todo fácil que es. Eso fue en 40 minutos. Yo, si me das 20 días, te junto 10 ahí. 10 personas.
You don't feel sad for him?
No le va a pasar nada. No le pasa nada.
What's known as transplant tourism isn't just confined to Mexico. A recent report found that organ trafficking generates an estimated $1.7 billion a year globally. There's one country where this trade happens on an industrial scale. In China, it isn't run by traffickers, but by the state.
Disturbing news just out from London. A tribunal found that some of the victims of the forced organ harvesting are detainees from the Falun Gong movement. Former Falun Gong and Uyghur Muslim inmates report they were subjected to ongoing medical checkups and blood testing.
In 2019, an international tribunal accused China of executing tens of thousands of political prisoners and selling their organs on the black market between 2000 and 2005. The organs fed a demand from wealthy foreigners from across the globe.
South Korean police say they're investigating an organized crime group that sends patients to China for organ transplants. The Chinese regime banned organ transplant tourism in 2007, but the practice continues, with people willing to pay tens of thousands of dollars to skip the long waiting lists for organs in their own countries.
China claims it stopped harvesting prisoners' organs in 2015. But in 2019, the tribunal found that the constant supply of organs available in Chinese hospitals could only be coming from executions.
Makes you think of some grotesque restaurant where you go in and you pick your lobster in a tank. But these are human beings we're talking about.
Chinese surgeon Dr. Enver Tohti was a key whistleblower for the tribunal.
This photo is probably the only photo I can find as a surgeon. This is me.
Once a highly skilled surgeon, he now lives in political exile in London, earning a scant living as an Uber driver.
One day, my chief surgeon asked me, said, "Do you want to do something wild?" He said, "We are going to the execution ground." Oh, I was panicking. Why I'm going to the execution ground? Not only me, the nurse and my assistant, everybody was panicking. What are we going to do? Our job is to save people. Why we are going to go to the execution ground? You can see there are more than 10 people got shot already. And they were wearing prisoners' uniform. And the head was shaved, like mine. And then the bullet comes through here and out from here. So this part is blown away. And they briefed me. Do as quick as possible, remove the liver and 2 kidneys. Then I thought he's alive. My chief surgeon was standing to my left. Said, okay, cut here, through that way, go quickly. Because that kind of operation, that thing in China is illegal. It is encouraged by the state. We got brainwashed from this kindergarten. So if anybody got shot because he's executed, that means he's enemy of the state.
This is large-scale illegal organ harvesting. And the targets are Uyghurs, Tibetans, Falun Gong members. These are innocent people who are killed by the communist regime. It seems that Falun Gong members, especially, were targeted, had their organs harvested because they live these clean lifestyles with no smoking, no alcohol. We know that in 2006 alone, 11,000 tourists went to China to get an organ. The fact that in China, one can receive a kidney in a matter of hours points out to the fact that China is meeting this demand very probably by killing people. We're very likely witnessing a modern-day genocide, and the international community is not even able to grasp the extent of this possible genocide because there's a scarcity of information, because international bodies are afraid of China. So if China is not going to be accountable for their deeds, China will become even more powerful and more daring in just challenging the international law. China is like a bull that marches on the world, you know, and destroys a lot in its path.
China is not the only country that has allowed its citizens to be butchered for profit. Until 2010, transplant tourism was legal in Pakistan, with 66% of all organs going to foreign patients. Since then, the Pakistani government has made commercial organ transplants a criminal offense, punishable by 10 years in jail. But criminal networks have filled the void, selling as many as 100 organs every month.
I've come to Pakistan because I hear it's a real hot spot for illegal organ trafficking, and the 3rd most popular country in the world for transplant tourism, next to India and China, and the cheapest, where kidneys are sold for as little as $1,000.
Organ trafficking is so rife in Pakistan that the government has set up an agency to combat it. Led by Adnan Bhatti, the Punjab Human Organ Transplantation Authority, or FOTA, has so far put 11 organ trafficking gangs behind bars.
तो टीम को रेडी रखें, टीम ए टीम ई भी दोनों.
Adnan has just heard from an informant that an illegal transplant is about to take place.
चलें भाई, रेडी है भाई? चलो चलो बैठो यार.
To avoid detection, the gangs commonly move patients immediately after surgery. So Adnan's team must intercept them as quickly as possible.
जब भी उधर से किसी किस्म का अगर कोई अटैक होता है, पहले आपने जो है ना उनको हवाई फायर करना है. यस सर. और अगर आपको इन्फॉर्मेशन मिले कुछ सस्पिशियस लगे तो फिर उनके जो है ना वो डराने के लिए पाँव में फायर मारिएगा. ठीक है सर. अगर आपको रेजिस्टेंस मिले फिर भी तो आप फिर उसकी टांग पे फायर मार सकते हैं. ठीक है सर. ठीक है. ठीक है सर. Very good.
Just as they're about to engage, Adnan receives orders to call off the raid. Pakistani intelligence are planning a wider investigation and fear Adnan could jeopardize it by striking too early. Back at his headquarters, he tells me how deadly these illegal surgeries can be.
So how bad is the illegal organ trade in Pakistan?
तो मैं ये समझता हूँ कि सबसे जो इस माफिया का है ना, ये इन हैवाननुमा लोगों का, ये जानवर लोगों का, एक तो ये ट्रैप करके फैमिलीज़ को जब अपने झांसे में ले आते हैं, तो एक तो 4 से 5 मिलियन, कोई कभी वो कहीं से बारो करता है, कभी कहीं से बारो करता है, कुछ लैंड बेच देता है, कोई घर बेच देते हैं, और फिर भी उनका जो बेटा था, बेटी थी, बीवी थी या हस्बैंड था, और वो जा चुके हैं, छोड़ चुके हैं सब इस दुनिया को, मर चुके हैं। और सक्सेसफुल रेट 5% है उनका।
Surgeries carried out by the gangs are often botched and lead to multiple deaths. Adnan is investigating a new gang led by a trafficker called Muzaffar.
इनके लिए जो है ना, वो ज़रा भी किसी किस्म की सिंपथीज हमें नहीं होनी चाहिए। इन लोगों को जब तक हैंग नहीं करेंगे तो ये, क्योंकि अब तक ये तो वो चीज़ें हैं जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन में सामने आई कि इसने 12 से 13 या 15 लोगों की सर्जरीज करवाई। ही इज़ द मैन के वो विल बी फिक्स्ड इंशाल्लाह।
I've come to meet the mother of one of the organ trafficker Muzaffar's victims, a woman named Rahana. Her 30-year-old son Hassan just died 2 months ago.
Hassan is wife. The wedding, na?
Yes, yes.
So these are like really happy memories, huh?
Yes.
Hassan had recently married and found a new well-paid job in marketing when his life was tragically cut short. He was approached by Muzaffar's gang when he was at his most vulnerable. In hospital while receiving dialysis, they offered to sell him a kidney. Desperate to get better, he agreed. But the gang didn't test whether the donor was a match, and Hassan's body rejected the kidney. His mother Rahana visits his grave every day.
मैं यही बोलना चाहती हूँ कि जिस तरह हम लुट गए हैं, हमने अपने हाथों से अपने बच्चे को लेके गए, कोई इस तरह का कदम ना उठाए। यहाँ जानवर है, ये दुनिया में बहुत जानवर है, मेरे पास कुछ भी नहीं है, सब नहीं बता सकती, कुछ खत्म हो गया, सब कुछ, जान भी चली गई। घर भी मैं जा रहे थे, वो किराए का घर है, जो अपना घर था वो बेच दिया, कुछ भी नहीं रहा। ये जान बचाने के लिए सब कुछ किया था, हसन की जान भी चली गई।
Rahana sold her house and family jewelry to pay organ trafficker Muzaffar for her son's operation.
So the minute you arrived in Rawalpindi, you started to notice things were off and were getting dodgy, right? What was going through your mind in these moments?
जब उन्होंने कहा कि हम आपके मोबाइल्स ले लेंगे, सब कुछ डाउटफुल लग रहा था, लेकिन हसन का जिद था कि नहीं, बस अब करवाना है, बस हो जाएगा इंशाल्लाह, कोई नहीं, इंशाल्लाह अल्लाह पाक खैर करेगा, हो जाएगा। इसीलिए तो मैं ऑपरेशन थिएटर में गई थी। हसन को पसीने आ रहे थे और हसन की आंखें बिल्कुल ऐसे थी, तो वो आंखें अपनी नहीं चिपका रहा था, तो मैं चीखने लगी कि ये हसन इस तरह क्यों है, हसन इस तरह क्यों है। तो मुझे कहते हैं कि नहीं, हसन इस टाइम होश में नहीं है, इसलिए मैंने हसन को आवाज़ें दी, हसन हसन हसन, तो हसन ने मुझे ऐसे करके फिर देखा।
Hassan survived the surgery, but his body began to reject the kidney.
वो मुझे कहता है कि मामा मुझे अब सांस नहीं आ रही, मतलब मुझे इस तरह पेन हो रहा है कि मेरा जिस्म सुन्न होता जा रहा है और मुझे सांस नहीं आ रही। जब मैंने हाथ लगाया तो उसके जिस्म बहुत ज़्यादा सख्त हो रहा था, इतने में बस हसन की जान निकल गई, हसन ख़त्म हो गए, वहीं डेथ हो गई थी।
If Hassan had been matched with the correct donor and had proper surgery, he would have had a 95% chance of survival. After her ordeal, Rahana got in touch with Fota.
हमारा तो चला गया बेटा, बाकी तो किसी और के ना जाए। इंसाफ मिलना चाहिए, हम इन लोगों को सज़ा मिले और सख्त सज़ा मिले, ऐसी सज़ा मिले कि कोई और इस तरह का सोच भी ना सके किसी की जान के साथ खेलने के लिए।
Fota traced the organ trafficker Muzaffar's cell phone and arrested him. Our local crew have got access to interview him in prison.
मेरा नाम मुज़फ़्फ़र है, मैं लाहौर से हूँ, बत्ती चौक से। तो ये अनलीगल काम है, मैं तकरीबन 5-6 माह से कर रहा हूँ। पहले मुझे पैसों की ज़रूरत थी, बहुत अर्जेंटली, तो मैंने खुद अपनी किडनी दी और पैसे कर्ज़ा ले वो उनका मैंने कर्ज़ा वापस किया। तो उसके बाद उन लोगों ने मुझे कहा कि अगर आप कोई एक आध बंदा लाओगे तो हम आपको 30,000 40,000 रुपया। तो तकरीबन मैं 4-5 बंदे लेके गया और वो मुझे इस तरह पैसे देते रहे। खुद गरीब घर से हूँ, रेंट पे मेरा घर है। बस ये नहीं पता था ये इतना बड़ा काम है, तो मुझसे गलती हुई है, मैं मानता हूँ। बस ये देखता था कि 30,000 आ गया, 40,000 आ गया, यार बड़ी बात है, यार घर का खर्चा सुकून से मैनेज हो जाएगा। बस इसी के लिए ये सारा किया, अपने लिए, बच्चों को देखा कि उनका पेट पालने के लिए ये किया बस। तो पाकिस्तान में इतनी गरीबी है कि हर दूसरा बंदा मजबूर होता है। वो नहीं देखता अनलीगल है, अनलीगल है, क्या है ये, उसको नहीं पता होता है।
Muzaffar claims he's not the criminal kingpin.
डॉक्टर जो भी पकड़ा नहीं गया, जिसने सारे पैसे लिए हैं, हमें इधर मार पड़ रही है कि पैसे तो किधर से दे पैसे, 30,000 40,000 रुपया लिए, किधर से दे पैसे, सारे पैसे तो वो ले चले गए। दे पैसे, ना मेरा कोई बैंक बैलेंस है, ना मेरा कोई घर में सिस्टम है।
Muzaffar has been charged with murder and removing human organs illegally. Rehana's son was not the only victim of Muzaffar's gang.
एजेंट और डॉक्टर्स ने फरूक मसीह के दोनों गुर्दे 36 लाख के फरोख्त किए। वाक़े होने पर नाश लाहौर में जिना अस्पताल के करीब फेंक दी गई।
Around the same time, a 25-year-old man named Farouk was picked up in an ambulance with both kidneys missing. Volta believes he may have been the donor. The ambulance driver, who was called to the scene, is still traumatized by what he witnessed.
It's a lot of blood. Yeah, all of this is blood?
जी ये फारूक का ब्लड है।
Where was he bleeding from?
कमर के। तो जब मैंने बाद में देखा कि इसकी ब्लीडिंग भी हो रही है पेशेंट की, पहले तो कंबल था, जब मैंने देखा ब्लीडिंग भी हो रही है तो मैंने यही सोचा कि यार इसको हॉस्पिटल लेके जाना चाहिए। जब मुझे पता लग गया कि यार ये मसलन केस कोई और है, उल्टा केस है।
When the ambulance driver arrived, Farouk was guarded by one of Muzaffar's gang members.
What did the gang member look like? उसका चेहरा क्या?
मेरी एज का था, बस स्मार्ट सा, मेरे जैसा था, हम एज ही था। लाहौर जब पहुंचा तो वो गाड़ी में से उतरा है, वो बोल रहा है कि यार मैं ना इसको, मैंने पानी पीना है तो मैं पानी ले आऊँ अपना। पानी पीने के बहाने वो उतरा गाड़ी में से, वो फरार हो गया वहाँ से।
The gang member panicked and fled, leaving Farouk bleeding to death, stripped of both his kidneys. Like many victims of Pakistan's illegal organ trade, Farouk was a bonded laborer. Landlords trap families with high-interest loans, then force them to work for a pittance. Many see selling their kidney as the only escape from this debt slavery.
With 2010, the year when Pakistan banned this practice, there was probably hope that things will change. But what happened was the demand was still there. Medical doctors, surgeons were already part of this system inside Pakistan. The recruiters, the facilitators were still there, and the poor people were still in the villages. So while this trade had to go underground, what happened was when you make something illegal, you increase the price. When you just make it outright illegal without taking care of the environment, without taking care of the root cause, without taking care of all the moving parts that make this trafficking work, you don't solve the problem. Although they outlaw the practice, it's still ongoing. I mean, you can see Pakistanis advertising via social networks that they're willing to sell kidneys. And in the end, what the facilitators leave behind them is a trail of dead bodies in many cases, because when you're doing this illegal activity and you're obviously not careful because you're after the money, you obviously don't have the proper means, the proper place, the proper surgeons. But this is a risk that many families are willing to take and many desperate people are willing to take, and this is what the facilitators are counting on. They just want the money. And for them, it doesn't matter if the patient dies, if the donor dies.
The gangs recruit their victims from the poorest parts of Pakistan. I'm on my way to Kot Momin, a town in central Punjab where agricultural workers get paid less than $1 a day to pay off their huge debt to landowners. This town holds a morbid open secret. Almost all the people here have sold their kidneys. Zafar works as a social activist, documenting the hundreds of villagers who have fallen victim to the trade in human flesh.
मैं लोगों के हालात देख के डेरियां ते जाके क्यों लोगों के हालात ही नहीं सी इतने जड़ा खाली जड़ा चलन फिरन वास्ते ना काम करने वास्ते.
Many of the villagers are now left with severely debilitating illnesses.
नहीं दस देख ले डरदे ने पुलिस तो क्यों जंटा नहीं फटदे फिर क्यों जड़े करा के आउंदे ने ठीक उन्होंने जड़ा पकड़ के जेल कर देंदे ने ठीक 14 साल सजा है ठीक जड़ा खाली 8 लाख रुपया जुर्माना उन्होंने मिनटां पहले तेरे कोल पड़दे हां ठीक है.
Zafar has received a call from his friend. Having already sold his own, the man is now planning an unthinkable step: selling his children's kidneys. Zulfikar, an agricultural worker, is in debt to his landlord.
हुण मेरे को और औकात कोई नहीं मुड़ा 2 बच्चियां हैं एक बच्चा है मुझे नंदा कुत्ता दे के अपना एक बार सर छुड़ने मैं आप बीमार है मेरे को तो काम होता नहीं.
So Zulfikar, what you're telling me is you have 3 children, you're in $3,000 debt, and you're thinking about selling their kidneys. Is that correct?
जी हम और शक्ल नहीं है ना और मजदूरी का नहीं है आमदन कोई नहीं है कि नहीं किसी पास है और उनकी शक्ल है मैं आप बीमार है सब बच्चियों मने करता तो नंदे सिर तो नहीं डांटे कल में पाबंद हो बन कर दे बच्चों मोर भी केड़ी शक्ल है बच्चियों पाबंद काम भी कर दी उन केड़ी को जी गल है.
खैर हर सब्र कर खैर तकड़े.
I can't imagine how tough that is for you.
कोई अपना मसाल नहीं है.
नहीं यार बच्चे नाल भी जुल्म तो करना मत.
How did you hear about it, this market for selling your kidneys?
बस जी सोच सुना के गया तेरे को सुनिया अगले को सुनिया ये सुन के मैं चला गया से.
Which hospital?
किडनी सेंटर गया मुख्तार किडनी सेंटर से.
Rawalpindi?
Rawalpindi.
Zulfikar had his own kidney removed from the Mukhtar Kidney Center in 2001 and was thinking of taking his children there. But Zafar has persuaded him not to go ahead. The Mukhtar Kidney Center is infamous for botched black market surgeries.
सबसे पहले आपको खबर देंगे रावलपिंडी पुलिस ने रवात के इलाके में छापा मारकर मुल्क और बैरून मुल्क गुर्दों की खरीदो फरोख्त करने वाला गिरोह गिरफ्तार कर लिया है.
It made the news in 2016 when 24 laborers were held against their will for forced kidney transplants.
दौरान 20 मर्द और 4 खवातीन को बाजियाब कराया गया. मुल्ज़मान पाकिस्तान के पसमानदा इलाकों से गुर्बत का शिकार लोगों को भारी मुआवजा के लालच देकर इनके गुर्दे निकाल कर न सिर्फ कम पैसे देते बल्कि भारी मुआवजे पर इसे अंदरूनी बैरून मुल्क फरोख्त करते थे.
The recipients had traveled from all over Europe, America, and the Middle East. Many of them returned home with complications. The lead surgeon, Mukhtar Shah, was put on a US sanctions list of human rights abusers. His son, Dr. Zahid Mukhtar, and one other were also arrested, but all of them only served a short time in jail. Pakistan claims to be clamping down on the illegal kidney trade, but Dr. Zahid Mukhtar is still allowed to practice today.
There are people who are working in the lower levels of the mafia who are being jailed and prosecuted, but it's the ones that are in the higher levels, the doctors, the surgeons, who are able to run away. Take Zahid Mukhtar, for example. He went to jail for a year, got out, and is continuing at the kidney center.
The victims in this vile international trade all have something in common. Whether they're undocumented migrants in Mexico, political prisoners in China, or bonded laborers in Pakistan, they are all from the most vulnerable parts of society. As wealth disparities widen across the world, the black market organ trade has become the grim new face of global inequality. If the wealthy nations feeding this demand don't take responsibility, it sets a dangerous precedent where poor people's bodies are allowed to become just another commodity for international organized crime.
The illegal organ harvesting that happens all over the world is a global scourge. It's a hideous form of modern slavery because you don't just use other humans, you cripple them for life. It's really fueled by poverty and by conflict. Poverty and conflict create these masses of people who are displaced, who are disempowered, who are voiceless. Official estimates are that there are 12,000 illegal transplants each year. Now, because of the hidden nature of this crime, is really hard to verify these numbers. But in my opinion, they are very conservative. The exchange of money for organs can never be ethical because that's already a level of coercion. This is one of those crimes where there's a need for kind of a global law enforcement unit who's able to understand how the traffickers work, how these surgeons without ethics and without morality work, and how the victims are recruited, and try to piece everything together to get to the real numbers and to try to obviously stop this illegal trade that's hurting so many.
El Salvador is the extortion capital of the world. Two gangs, MS-13 and 18th Street, hold the entire country in their grip. They make $750 million a year, forcing everyone, from bus drivers to multinationals, to pay up or die. This terror tactic has given them power and control over whole communities. Anyone who disobeys is targeted by MS-13's growing army of assassins.
We're going to meet two female MS-13 members. I have personally never met a woman gang member, much less a hired assassin. Hola.
Hola.
¿Cómo andas?
Bien.
¿Cómo te digo?
La duende. Así ese es el nombre que me gané dentro de la Mara. Tuve que hacer muchas cosas, pero como es algo que me encanta hacer, no la sentí tan duro.
¿Qué tiene que ver lo de la extorsión con lo que tú haces?
Cuando nosotros tenemos a alguien que no quiere pagarlo, paga a alguien de nosotros a platicar en buen humor y que no sé qué. Si ella no quiso pagar, lo primero que hacemos, le dijimos al esposo. Entonces, si ya se echó para atrás y no quiere y dice que no, y que no, y que no, allí me toca mi trabajo. Cuando yo sé que no va a ser muy arriesgoso el trabajo que voy a hacer, yo uso este. Pero cuando sé que tal vez va a haber más problemas, uso esta. Que con nosotros no se juega, la Mara se respeta.
Ghost's words are not hollow threats. In the last decade, El Salvador has had some of the highest murder rates in the world. A death rate driven by extortion.
Mara Salvatrucha, or MS-13, is one of the most feared gangs in the world. You gotta show that you are able to kill with a machete, that you're able to sever limbs, that you're able, to kill entire families, and that you have no remorse. They inflict terror in people in order to go about their business. Extortion is a main source of income for criminals in El Salvador. These gangs are controlling so much of the public life, so much of the citizens' livelihoods. A big slice of your life belongs to the criminals.
Y te puedo preguntar algo, ¿eres buena para matar?
La verdad, gracias a Dios nunca he fallado.
¿Cuántos?
Creo que ya perdí la cuenta.
¿Cuánto te pagan?
No lo hago por el dinero.
Una pregunta.
Dígame.
Personal, discúlpame, ¿no? ¿Estás embarazada?
Sí. Yo les voy a tirar el paro por lo menos 5 meses. Pero de 5 meses para allá me han dado el pase que la agarre suave.
Ghost is training a 17-year-old recruit, nicknamed Skinny, to carry on the killing while she has her baby.
Yo le he puesto enfrente de toda la clica y les he dicho que yo a ella la quiero en mi lugar.
Skinny needs to prove herself as a lookout before climbing the ranks to become an assassin.
¿Qué pedo con el que está en ese rótulo ahí parqueado? No sé qué onda, pues, como que está volteando a ver para acá, no sé qué. Quiero ver, observe.
Ajá.
Si pasa algún policía o alguno de los contrarios. Entonces yo la mando y de lejos yo la estoy observando a ver si ella está haciendo bien el trabajo.
¿Y entonces cómo seleccionaste a esta chica?
Porque la vi que es más chispa.
¿Tú crees que la seca está como lista para matar a alguien y toda esta cuestión? ¿En cuánto la gradúan, pues?
Yo creo que un poquito más y ella ya está lista. Creo que el día que voy a ir a hacer una vuelta, va a ir ella conmigo.
O sea, hacer una vuelta que es más
a hacer una privada.
¿Vas a matar a alguien y ella te va a estar ahí mirando?
Sí, ella tiene que estar ahí viendo.
Back at her house, Ghost explains why she became a cold-blooded killer.
Quizás a la edad de unos 9 años, mis padres se fueron de viaje para Estados Unidos.
Ajá.
Entonces me dejaron con una tía, hermana de mi mamá. Entonces vino mi tía, se metió a vivir con un hombre por ahí, va. Entonces este hombre empezaba a manosearme y todo eso. Hubo un día que ya no fue que solo me tocaba, él ya me violó. Entonces desde ese momento, dentro de mi corazón, había una rabia contra los hombres. Ya iba listo, yo solo saqué hacia el cohete y cabal, en esto de aquí la cabeza le di. De la edad de los 13 años que hice mi primer pegado, ahorita tengo 33 años. Cada hombre que yo voy matando, voy curando la rabia que yo tengo en mi corazón.
Ghost is one of about 30,000 members who have sworn their allegiance to MS-13, the largest gang in El Salvador. But its roots actually stretch all the way to LA, where back in the 80s, thousands of refugees came after fleeing El Salvador's civil war.
These gangs from El Salvador are now operating in every corner of America. Everybody is at risk here.
Marginalized in deprived neighborhoods, MS-13 set themselves up as a vigilante group to protect their community, but soon grew into one of America's most dangerous organized crime gangs. Between 2001 and 2010, the US deported over 40,000 Salvadoran convicts. In doing so, they exported gang violence and extortion to the streets of El Salvador.
The US law enforcement is interested in kicking these people out, but they don't care if those people are going to kill and rape and pillage in other parts of the world. They were just focused on something that was immediate, something that would get rid of the crime on the streets of LA, which it didn't. But on top of that, they created more of a problem back in El Salvador.
I'm about to meet the 2 female gang members again. And I think it's also like a good opportunity to talk a little bit more with the younger one. Hola, Seca. ¿Cómo vas? ¿Puedo pasar? Es importante, ¿sabes? Cómo estar arreglada, bonita para las misiones, ¿no?
Sí, claro.
Ajá.
No sospechan de vos.
¿Tú entiendes que es un poco raro para una chica tan joven de 17 como haber escogido matar como profesión, no?
Sí, claro. Y el estudio, ¿qué te va a servir si eso no te sirve, si aquí ni te dan trabajo, aquí ganas una mierda?
¿Y te entrenaron a usar armas y todo esto para poder ser sicaria?
Sí, ahorita veo como limpiarlas y todo, porque veo que la duende lo hace y ella me explica, me dice, mira, la tienes que agarrar así.
Y duende viene siendo como que como tu hermana, pues.
No, hombre, como mi mamá viene siendo. Sí, me ha enseñado bastante.
Skinny's whole life has been shaped by MS-13. Both her parents are senior members.
Mi papá toda su vida ha estado preso. Lo conocí en puras fotos. Mi mamá, 4 años tiene de estar presa. Ella extorsionaba a un empresario de buses. La penaron para 11 años.
MS-13 know that their future is in recruiting youngsters, in recruiting kids. Kids are enlisted, and especially kids who don't have access to education. You know, kids who don't see any other way of life. And children are capable of a lot of cruelty when they're trained by adults to do so.
Skinny shows me how Ghost and her boss train young assassins to kill.
Ahí vamos ya. Y ella va por ahí.
Oh, duende. Ahí va la víctima caminando allá en la acera, por donde va el bicho lanzallamas. ¿Oíste? Sí, ya jamás ya. Ella va caminando, ¿ves? Oh, cambiar el teléfono. Vaya, bajate, date cuenta. Alumbré donde está el puente.
Bien, ahorita me voy a bajar. Vamos ahí.
Va pues, chivas allí. Ahí te esperamos. Cualquier onda, ¿va?
Ya, lo demás no te lo podemos enseñar porque
Se quedó.
no tenía que bajar. Solo para ver.
¿Y tú cómo te sentiste? ¿Bien?
No, normal.
Ya normal para ella.
MS-13 targets hundreds of thousands of people with their extortion racket, known locally as La Renta.
Buenas.
Buenas.
¿Cómo les va? Doña María.
Buenas.
Typical victims are food stall owners, like Maria.
Hay que hacer por lo menos unos diarios, unos $30 diarios.
¿Para sobrevivir?
Sí, siempre cuesta. Se le tienen que pagar a las pandillas para poder tener un negocio estable.
Ajá.
Y que no te pase nada. Pues, pero ya de la renta, sí, pues sí.
La renta, como tú dices, que le llaman a la cuota.
Sí.
¿Cuánto tienes que pagar?
30.
30
a la semana.
¿Dólares?
Sí. Solo se dice, aquí vengo por el pago.
Ajá.
Así pues ya uno sabe que ya vienen por el dinero.
Ya vienen.
Maria is forced to pay MS-13 30% of her income. The gang has eyes and ears on every street corner to check how much each business earns every day.
O sea, ellos siempre tienen gente viendo, espiando cosas así.
Informantes, pues.
Sí. O sea, por lo menos aquella persona que está allá hablando por teléfono.
¿Dónde?
Ay, por la mototaxi.
Ajá.
¿Ya ve?
Ah, sí.
Ah,
sí.
así.
Yeah, I see her. And she says it's like the most random people that you can think. It's not like your average lookout, like a gang member. It's older ladies sometimes. They've got a cell phone and they're calling to inform the gang about what's going on and what people are doing. ¿Y te da miedo?
Mucho. Un poco nerviosa. Nerviosa y como con miedo.
To protect Maria, we step away from her shop.
¿Tú crees que acá estamos más seguros para hablar?
Sí.
Sí. Si a nadie está viendo. ¿Y qué te ha tocado, digamos, algunas personas cercanas a ti o algo le ha pasado algo? ¿Ya has tenido a alguien que lo hayan matado o algo?
Sí, a muchas. Eso me da mucho miedo. Que algún día le pase algo a mi hijo. Ya saben dónde pasa o a dónde lo dejo cuidando o cosas así. O sea, atemorizado siempre,
Sí.
todos los días.
Se puede decir que te dan como donde más te duele, pues.
Sí, es así.
Maria is such a brave woman. It's really devastating to think how much a life costs in this country. $30. If Maria doesn't pay $30 each week to a gang, that's the life of her husband or her child, potentially.
The gangs control over 90% of El Salvador's neighborhoods and act with impunity. The police are under-equipped and overwhelmed. The criminal conviction rate in El Salvador is less than 5%.
People like Maria are easy victims, easy prey in circumstances where the state fails, where the state cannot protect its citizens, where the state cannot provide security and safety. What Maria's living there is a nightmare because this is an integrated system where criminals use extortion as a way to control people. If they take $30 a month from someone like Maria, the more Marias you have, it adds up to actually a percentage of the country's GDP. It's the business of fear. You generate fear in order to make money. And the more fear you generate, the more money you make.
The cycle of extreme violence MS-13 deploys means they even maintain a stranglehold over big corporations that run the country's infrastructure. They target public transport companies that turn over $250 million a year. A cash-in-hand business, the buses pass through gang territory every day. Passengers and staff are totally exposed. 1,300 transport workers have been murdered in less than a decade. Catalino Miranda, the owner of El Salvador's largest bus company, has experienced the human costs firsthand.
Estaba en una pequeña reunión y pues me avisaron inmediatamente y vine a ver en vivo lo que estaba pasando en ese momento. Hallaron la oportunidad dentro de la unidad. A lo cual murió un pasajero.
Usted vio básicamente un pasajero está ahí sentado y alguien llega y lo mata.
Así es. Las pandillas es como el Doberman que no sabe cuándo va a atacar. El tema de la seguridad en este país es bastante complicado y en estos tiempos el que maneja el dinero podría ser víctima de cualquier ataque. Yo tengo 17 años de lidiar con este problema y la extorsión siempre se ha mantenido como la bolsa de valores que sube, baja y vuelven a atacar.
Usted que es empresario, ¿qué porcentaje de sus ganancias le estaban quitando?
Llegaron momentos que rondaba entre $1,5 millones mensuales, equivalente casi a $50,000 diarios, 1.500 entre 18 millones al año. Por último tuvimos que meterlo a contabilidad, como ahí hay una parte donde dice otro.
The extortion fees nearly crippled his company. Catalino refused to pay after 25 of his drivers were killed in just 1 year. He now spends $30,000 a month on private security, CCTV, and GPS tracking to monitor his 300 buses in real time. Standing up to the gangs has left him with a price on his head.
Fuera de los guardaespaldas que tiene, ¿también usted está armado?
Sí, ellos así siempre tengo que...
¿Siempre?
Hay que andarla, sí.
¿Por qué hay tanta necesidad de contratar seguridad privada?
Yo creo que la seguridad le compete darla al gobierno central, pero al ver, ¿verdad?, que también en mi país la misma policía ha sido víctima de ataques opresivos por parte de bandas criminales, entonces un ciudadano común y corriente no le queda la alternativa para proteger, ¿verdad?, el trabajo y la vida.
Claro.
Si tú empezás a sacar la cantidad de seguridad privada en el país, es más que la Policía Nacional Civil.
Sí, sí.
Por lo tanto, es un costo.
Businesses here now spend an estimated $2 billion a year on private security, trying to fill the void left by years of government failures. In 2003, to tackle the gang's growing power, the government launched a strategy known as Mano Dura, the Iron Fist, which led to mass incarceration. Imprisoned without trial, many were locked up based on their physical appearance and being inked with gang tattoos. Mano Dura backfired. 95% of the prisoners were released in the first year. MS-13 simply became more aware of police tactics, more organized, and more violent. I'm going to meet one of the founding members of MS-13, known as Bad Boy, who spent years in prison.
He is actually in charge of collecting the extortion money in his area, and he is old school. He has tattoos on his face, so he is what they call a person who's inked, and he's permanently in hiding. He can't show his face out in the public. So we are at the unidentified location where he has agreed to meet us.
Tengo a mi cargo como 350 convoy. O sea, esta es mi zona. Yo me tatué en la prisión en el 1997 con tinta de Presto Barba. Es como un rango. Si yo me tatúo la cara es porque he hecho por la pandilla lo que otros no han hecho. La onda está así, de que yo cada vez que voy a salir me tengo que maquillar los tatuajes de la cara. Y no puedo salir así nomás porque no he caminado ni una cuadra cuando ya me han capturado.
Cuando recolectas la extorsión de la gente,
Ajá.
¿cómo funciona?
Que si yo le extorsiono a usted solo me va a dar una vez. Supongamos, le hablo por teléfono y le estoy pidiendo $10,000. Pero sé que eso una vez me lo va a dar. En cambio, la renta es una tarifa cada mes. No es mejor que lo estén pagando cada vez que toque la renta.
To avoid police detection, MS-13 now use women and teenagers without tattoos or criminal records to do their dirty work.
Mando mujeres, hasta niños he mandado de 12, 13 años. Me traen de cada quien, de cada zona, o sea, cada quien ya sabe que tiene que pagarlo.
¿Hay alguna ventaja como de mandar mujeres o mandar niños?
Pues sí, por el color de la jura. O sea, si miran hombres, los juras lo pueden parar en el camino, le hayan ese dinero, lo van a llevar preso. Cada vez que se recoge, se cambia la persona que recoge el dinero.
¿Y cómo, para qué están usando ese dinero ustedes?
Armas, granadas, se compran voluntades, o sea, juras, se les paga al mes.
Many police officers here only earn $300 a month and live in gang territory. Fearing retribution, they often turn a blind eye to the gang's extortion business or take bribes. The failings of law enforcement has empowered MS-13 to scale up its extortion business and target not just Salvadoran businesses, but even some of the world's leading multinationals.
Aquí en El Salvador todos pagan renta. Paga renta la Coca-Cola. No pueden entrar a una colonia de nosotros sin pagar.
¿Cómo sabes cuánto le cobras a cada empresa?
Depende qué empresa sea. Como la alcaldía, pues cuando les cobran a la gente del mercado. Si es la Coca-Cola, al mes tiene que dar 1.500, porque es una empresa grande.
¿Qué pasa si la gente no paga?
Se muere. De que ellos lo que tienen que hacer es someterse, pues. Y $1.500 para ellos no es que les estén matando trabajadores, estén haciendo leña, pues el negocio a ellos no les gusta, entonces mejor prefieren pagar.
None of the multinationals who operate in El Salvador have ever admitted to paying extortion fees. It breaks international money laundering laws, and if they acknowledged it, they could be seen as a soft touch and targeted by other criminal organizations across the globe.
It's been really hard for us to get a response from multinationals about extortion, so we are literally in one of the towns and we're going to doorstep the delivery guy to see if we can get some answers about how the system works.
One of El Salvador's biggest beverage companies distribute Coca-Cola and other global drinks brands here. A senior staff member agreed to talk to us anonymously.
Trabajó para la constancia. Nosotros repartimos bebidas gaseosas y igual cerveza. Hay un dado caso porque yo he vivido esa situación en el cual si nosotros no pagamos llegan al punto de amenazarnos hasta con armas. Hay casos que han herido a compañeros, han matado a compañeros. Hay sectores de que se cancela $500 hasta $1,000 semanales
$500 hasta $1,000 cada semana. ¿Y cómo saben cómo llamarlos para la extorsión y eso? ¿Cómo saben tu teléfono? ¿Cómo saben tu nombre? ¿Cómo saben todo eso?
Ellos lo que hacen es nos detienen. Cada kilómetro, cada cuadra nos encontramos con uno. Entonces, ¿qué? Ya no podemos estar tranquilos nosotros despachando porque nos pueden robar de un momento a otro. Y nos dicen de que, aquí vas a pagar tal parte aquí, si la próxima vez no traes este dinero, te vamos a matar.
¿Y la compañía Coca-Cola sabe que esto está pasando?
Sí, sinceramente sí, y ellos para evitar problemas, ¿verdad?, de dañar, de poder trabajar, acceden a eso, que todos a nivel nacional es por igual.
¿Tú crees que si yo les pregunto a la gente, como los jefes de estas empresas, que si admiten que están pagando esto, ¿me lo aceptarían en persona o en cámara?
Nada. Ellos dirían no. Aunque ellos saben que no es correcto lo que se está haciendo, pero ellos quieren trabajar. Entonces, no le admitirían.
We contacted Coca-Cola, who said they take the allegations very seriously. They condemn all illegal activity, including extortion, and are working with their authorized bottler in El Salvador to understand the full extent of the claims. For the very first time, the president of an organization that represents 14,000 companies, Javier Simán, has agreed to speak about the scale of the threat.
El reto para nosotros más grande es la extorsión. Eso se vuelve parte del costo de hacer negocio en El Salvador. Muchas veces el motorista de su bolsillo tiene que pagarle la extorsión. Y otras veces la empresa tiene que proveerle al motorista para que pueda pagar a entrar. Depende de las empresas. Pero las empresas se ponen en una situación muy difícil porque las maras no le van a dar recibo, no le van a dar un invoice por haber pagado la extorsión. Entonces, expone a las empresas a la ley de lavado de dinero o a la ley contra el terrorismo, que pueda ser interpretado como que el empresario está financiando actividades terroristas de las maras o que el empresario está lavando dinero. El empresario es víctima de la extorsión que los gobiernos ni la policía tienen capacidad de resolverle y no hemos visto voluntad política de resolverlo, ¿no? A las empresas extranjeras, pero también a las empresas nacionales, les da mucho miedo opinar, por miedo a represalias.
MS-13 is not the only gang extorting the nation. For decades, they have fought a bloody turf war with their arch enemies, 18th Street. One of their factions has refocused their extortion tactics to go only for the big money.
Aquí todos somos familia, somos iguales. Iguales, somos la 18.
¿Cómo se mantiene la pandilla en términos de dinero? ¿Cobran renta?
No, aquí no vivimos de eso. Esta es nuestra comunidad. ¿Cómo le voy a ir a quitar el dinero a la pobre señora y los tomates? No le puedes ir a poner renta a la señora que te vende porque la ganancia es mínima. Entonces no, nosotros, lo que somos parte de nosotros, no permitimos eso.
Entiendo, pero si hay una empresa extranjera, ¿a eso sí les cobrarían o no?
Sí, eso sí, porque ellos sí tienen dinero para podernos pagar. El empleado no les importa su aguinaldo, no les importa subirte el sueldo, no, ellos te quieren explotar.
Los empresarios, ustedes les están cobrando gente multinacionales y no les pagan, ¿qué les pasa?
Los matamos, los desaparecemos, porque ellos tienen la cuota que nosotros les hemos pedido. El empresario es el peor extorsionador, porque le dan al trabajar un sueldo miserable. Pues somos los Robin Hood para los pobres. El gobierno te niega la oportunidad de salir adelante. Vienen todos los presidentes y el actual te dice, no, aquí yo quiero cambiar el país, pero nos cierran las oportunidades de empleo. Que aquí nosotros corremos miles de riesgos. Aquí nos pueden matar en la calle, puede venir la policía y vienen. Para mí hoy es el último, porque yo mañana no sé.
What happened?
No, porque ya andan en
We just got word that someone was arrested up in the bridge, so we need to stop and leave right now.
18th Street are on edge because a few days ago, The National Police, backed by American law enforcement, arrested 572 gang members on charges of extortion, terrorism, murder, and money laundering. To try to regain public confidence and retain international investment, the police are now mounting weekly operations against the gangs.
So it's 1:30 in the morning, and we just got a call from our local producer saying there's a massive operation. The police are going to arrest about 30 extortionists, and we were given the green light to go with them.
The government spent $31 billion and deployed 3,000 extra troops in 2020 to bolster their crackdowns.
There's about 20 vehicles here, so it's going to be a pretty large convoy. You can tell that these guys are pretty scared of the gangs, because for the police to go out and get some, they need to call in the army to actually secure the perimeter.
30 search warrants have been issued for members of 18th Street.
¿Y qué zona vamos a ir? Norte.
A veces los pandilleros tienen, nosotros le llamamos antena, tienen gente que les avisa que nosotros vamos.
Sí.
Entonces por eso tienen que hacer las cosas rápido.
¿Ya estamos llegando?
¡Abre la puerta, pues! ¡Abre la puerta! ¡Abre la puerta rápido! ¡Abre la puerta, caballero! ¡Abre la puerta rápido, pues! Hacia un lado, hacia un lado. Hacia un lado, hacia un lado.
The police have locked up over 5,000 gang members in the last 18 months alone.
No, subiste ahí, estate aquí, me vengo para atrás.
¿Y les dieron resistencia?
The members of 18th Street arrested tonight are part of a supposed zero-tolerance campaign led by El Salvador's new president.
Con la operatividad de la Policía Nacional Civil se ha logrado incautar más de 3.500 armas de diferente calibre desde el inicio de la gestión del presidente Bukele.
President Nayib Bukele was sworn in June 2019 on a promise to eradicate gangs. 5 years ago, El Salvador's murder rate was the highest in the world, outside war zones.
Nuestro país es como un niño enfermo. Nos toca ahora a todos asumir nuestra responsabilidad, sacar adelante a ese niño. Es nuestro país, es El Salvador.
Bukele's impact appears impressive. He claims to have cut the murder rate by 60%. But in September 2020, El Salvador's investigative news platform El Faro broke a story that shocked the world. El Faro claimed President Bukele made a secret deal with MS-13. If they voted for him and cut the killings, he'd give them a seat at the political table.
We've come to see Carlos Martinez. He's an investigative journalist here, and he's broken many stories about organized crime and the government and has been threatened for uncovering these, so he doesn't want to be seen outside for his safety.
Muchas gracias, caballero.
Con la llegada del presidente Bukele, hubo una reducción de homicidios como no la habíamos visto desde que se miden los homicidios en este país. Finalmente, conseguimos una extensa serie de documentos oficiales que documentan la negociación entre el gobierno del presidente Bukele y la Mara Salvatrucha ocurriendo en los penales de máxima seguridad de este país para conseguir una reducción súbita de homicidios con una serie de promesas del gobierno a la mafia, mejorar sus condiciones en las cárceles, pero sobre todo convertir a esta organización criminal en un actor político.
Son pandillas que se están sentando a negociar con un presidente. ¿Qué quiere decir eso del poder que tienen aquí en este país?
En las comunidades,
las pandillas norman, es decir, son un poder de facto. Hoy por hoy, en El Salvador, las pandillas obtienen casi la totalidad de sus recursos de la extorsión. En este país paga la Coca-Cola, paga Sab Miller, paga el McDonald's, paga la Pizza Hut. Toda esa gente paga a la pandilla. No lo creo, lo sé. Y el Estado no tiene la capacidad de intervenir en ello. Y una de las cosas interesantes es que mientras la criminalidad en términos de homicidios ha disminuido, la extorsión ha aumentado.
The criminals are more powerful than the government in El Salvador. And this is because they control the citizens. They are able to keep people in check. They are able to direct their lives. They are able to tell people what to do. So when you add to this political element, when you add an alleged pact between MS-13 and the government and the president, that just increases the power of the organized crime group.
President Bukele has categorically denied allegations of agreeing a secret deal with El Salvador's gangs. We have managed to contact one of MS-13's national leaders.
¿Cómo se la llevan con el gobierno ahorita de Bukele?
No hay ni arreglo bueno ni nada, tranquilo ahí.
¿Todo tranquilo?
Tranquilo ahí. No causas temor. La avispa, si vos no la atacás, no te muerden.
Claro.
Si vos no atacás, no te atacan. Así es, ajá.
O sea, ustedes básicamente controlan este país, pues.
No creo que solo nosotros, yo creo que todos, las pandillas.
He doesn't acknowledge any secret political deal, but is proud to boast about the power MS-13 wields over El Salvador through extortion.
Ya estamos organizados, somos un ejército, ya. Vos me vas a pagar. ¿Por qué me vas a pagar?
¿Y si no pagan?
Tú me vas a pagar. Es un juego, ya.
O sea, ¿cómo funciona?
Pero voy a hacer prueba, hay coordinación.
Ok. O sea, todo está perfectamente como una jerarquía, como una pirámide, coordinado.
El que agarra, entrega, se lava y se distribuye.
Yo como vengo de Estados Unidos, ¿sabes? Hay empresas como gringas.
Cortan el color, amarillo puede ser, pero tienes dinero y estás en la zona, vas a pagar. No es extorsión, es colaboración.
Colaboración forzada.
Poco, sí.
Ok. Quiero que expliques a alguien que es una cosa seria, pues como una compañía donde de pronto este dinero lo invierten aquí. ¿Eso? ¿Ustedes son como empresarios?
Hay que lavar el dinero con puteríos, en todo, armas, ropa, comida, internet, inteligencia, carros.
O sea, como que hay grandes cerebros así pensando en esto, hay como alguna. Sí. ¿Y quiénes son los cerebros?
No se puede hablar así mucho.
Ok.
Ya.
The gang's control over El Salvador has long been an open secret, but it was only in 2018 that the real scale of their money laundering was revealed, after an unprecedented police investigation.
1.075.191 es el valor exacto que hemos extinguido por lo derivado de la operación Jaque.
Afectando de manera directa las finanzas de la estructura delincuencial Mara Salvatrucha.
Douglas Farah, a national security consultant to the U.S. government, has seen how MS-13 have used their dirty extortion money to buy influence and power.
They have become much more sophisticated. They've also made the decisions to send some of their best, smartest people to law school, to accounting school. So you now have MS-13 that have been in the police for 5 or 6 years and are now rising to the ranks. You have smart accountants. You have really good lawyers now that are integrated into the MS-13. So they've become over time much more embedded in the society. I never imagined watching them sort of develop into what they have become today.
Out of El Salvador's 262 districts, the gangs control a shocking 247. So how do you take the country back? San José Guayabal is a unique town where a local mayor has managed to regain control.
Aquí caminamos a la hora que queremos, no hay renta. En 2 años logramos erradicar la 18 y dejar libre de pandillas el municipio.
The key to this extraordinary achievement was rooting out police corruption. When Mayor Mauricio Villanova discovered the town's police chief was unreliable, he took action.
Entonces yo sí intervení para cambiar el jefe policial. Y nace el modelo de hacer patrullajes conjuntos, alcalde con policía, salir del sitio de confort de alcalde y ponerme a trabajar el tema de seguridad y prevención.
Sí.
Desde salir del escritorio al territorio. Y el éxito ha habido más de 200 capturas,
sí,
condenas de 60 años. Entonces un pandillero migra aquí, la tiene difícil.
The mayor's hands-on approach includes working closely with former gang members to stop violence erupting.
¿Cayó cuántos? 5 años preso.
¿Estabas en la Mara? ¿En la MS?
No.
En la 18.
Me querían matar, que yo nunca los vi como enemigos, sino no estaba a favor de lo que estaban haciendo.
¿Y ahora por eso andas armado?
Sí.
Sí.
Todas las pandillas pueden intentar pegarle a él, pues matarlo, pues dicen de que al quitarlo a él se van a volver a levantar de nuevo, pues.
Bueno, ellos deciden cuándo matar y cuándo no. Digamos, nosotros aquí estamos hoy sumamente preocupados porque estamos viendo cómo se quieren volver a fortalecer después de la pandemia.
Thanks to the mayor rolling up his sleeves, there have only been 4 murders in the town in the last year, none of them gang-related. But only a few minutes away, 18th Street still maintains total control of the surrounding areas.
La voy a llevar a 2 lugares, son muy peligrosos. Requiero, por su seguridad, que se ponga el chaleco contra balas.
Perfecto. This neighborhood is actually a sanctuary, apparently, for the 18th Street gang. They kill people here, they bury them. They are totally operating freely here. So that's why the mayor cannot come here by himself. He needs to be escorted by the police and the army. Aquí nos bajamos. ¿Sí?
The mayor's strategy is to make sure his security team has more firepower than the gangs.
Buenos días, caballero. ¿Sería tan amable poner sus manos al cuello, por favor? Baje la mochila. ¿Ya sabe detenido más de alguna vez?
No.
¿Qué porta en la bolsa?
Cartera y teléfono.
Solamente. ¿Tatuaje?
Ninguno.
Está bien, entonces, continúe.
Vamos caminando. Y es un lugar dominado por la 18 sureña. Ellos saben que nosotros estamos ahorita aquí. Donde en el día podemos entrar, pero en la noche el que entra, que no es del lugar, no sale. Todo esto es en memoria de los pandilleros muertos. Este es Light Tiger.
Ah, sí, señor. ¿Y esos son balazos?
Estos son disparos.
Es corta la vida de estos muchachos, ¿no?
Es corta y difícil.
The mayor's ambition to expand his strategy across the region may be too little, too late. Hundreds of people from the town have been forced to flee their homes after suffering years of extortion.
Ahí está todo abandonado,
Todo
tiene
abandonado.
razón.
Esta es otra casa abandonada.
Toda la gente se fue, claro. He's saying this is almost like a ghost town because a lot of families have fled to the U.S. mostly after being extorted or threatened by the gangs.
What happens here is fueling a crisis outside of El Salvador's borders. In 2019 alone, nearly 500,000 Salvadorans fled their homes, many joining the migrant caravans, hoping to reach America.
We've been talking to everybody, gangs, local authorities, businessmen, ordinary citizens. And one thing has become clear. Extortion here is endemic and it's happening at all levels. Extortion is a multi-million-dollar industry and it's not going to stop anytime soon.
Among the failed states of the world, El Salvador is a front runner. You can't really do efficient investment in a country where there's an active extortion racket. So this definitely stops El Salvador from developing. If MS-13 manage to completely take over the government in El Salvador, they will become a big power in Central America. It's gonna help them expand business, help them connect to other crime groups, and infiltrate even more, not just local politics, but global politics. This is not just about fighting gang violence. This is not just being tough on groups like MS-13. This is really about changing the way politicians work and actually have the politicians work in the public interest and with long-term plans and in coordination across borders.
So we're in the Golden Triangle district, and the police have set up a checkpoint to search cars coming down this road, searching for drugs and other contraband.
My country, Thailand, is at the front line of the world's fastest growing drugs market. The meth trade in Southeast Asia is worth $60 billion a year.
They're searching every single car that comes past, and everyone seems pretty okay with their cars being searched, which kind of says to me that, you know, drug searches are just a thing that happen here. It's so common.
มันเป็นจุดตรวจจุดสกัดคือพวกผมได้รับแจ้งรายงานนะที่บ้านที่ไปทางบ้านทับกุมารทองครับ
Thai authorities seized a record 139 tons of meth last year. Towns like this, in the heart of Southeast Asia's notorious Golden Triangle, are where 80% of drugs enter Thailand.
ทุกคันต้องสงสัยหมดแล้วก็ต้องสังเกตอาการจากผู้ขับผู้ติดตามรถมาแล้วก็ดูสภาพรถอะไรต่างๆ
มันมีแบบเนี่ยสมมติเป็นคนขนยาเรามันมีจุดอันไหนที่เราควรจะดูเป็นพิเศษไหมครับ
แต่ถ้ารถลักษณะของกระบะอย่างนี้ใช่ไหมครับคือเขานี่ซุกซ่อนนี่ก็คงไม่มากครับทั้งคอนโซลทั้งใต้เบาะทั้งอะไรพวกนี้ต้องค้นให้หมด
ครับอาจจะแกะออกมาอะไรอย่างนี้นะครับ
มันเคยมีกรณีซ่อนไว้ในยางรถสภาพแวดล้อมทีนึง
เขาซ่อนยังไงครับตอนนั้น
เคยมีเคสก็ถอดยางก็ใส่เข้าไปในยางเลย
ยาอะไรครับ
พักระยะยาบ้าเรานี่แหละครับ
ยาบ้านะครับ
ยาบ้ายาไอซ์มีหมดฮะเขาแพ็ค
Yaba, a cheap version of meth laced with caffeine, sells for under $2 a pill on the Thai market. Pure meth, ice, is trafficked through Thailand to countries as far as Australia, where a gram sells for up to $600. This area, where the borders of Thailand, Laos and Myanmar meet, was dubbed the Golden Triangle by the CIA in the 70s, as it became the world's second largest producer of heroin. Now, the Golden Triangle is the largest producer of meth in the world. Production is centered in Myanmar, where large parts of the country are controlled by a patchwork of ethnic militias who fund their insurgencies through meth trafficking.
The Golden Triangle is at the intersection of commercial interests, political interests, but really nobody governs there except for organized crime. You also have criminal groups operating there for centuries. Traditionally, they were engaged into the trafficking of heroin. They moved into meth because meth is much easier to produce. There's blueprints for meth labs all over the internet. So it's a very handy drug. It's almost like 3D printing drugs. The precursors always come from China. So what happens is you have large factories in China manufacturing, producing these precursors, exporting them across borders for Chinese factories is big business. China's breeding a sort of asymptomatic corruption in the sense that, they are tolerating this manufacture of precursors because nothing really bad happens on Chinese soil. These precursors will be used elsewhere and will affect people elsewhere in the world.
Most Chinese precursor chemicals end up in the hands of a militia called the Wa Army, who were formed after the collapse of the Communist Party in Myanmar. Backed by the Chinese state with weapons and funds, the Wa Army have been dubbed by the US government the most heavily armed narco-traffickers in the world. China's drive to expand their power in the region comes at the cost of exacerbating a dangerous epidemic. In 2020, authorities operating in the Wa Army's territory made the largest seizure of synthetic drugs in the history of Southeast Asia, including 200 million meth tablets. Drug militias like the Wa Army are considered to be Thailand's biggest security threat. Multi-million-dollar seizures from the Wa Army are a weekly occurrence on the Thai border, and the police have just made a fresh catch.
Holy shit, that's a lot of drugs. Sacks full of drugs. Army, police, and being guarded very seriously. So I'd heard a lot about how drugs are packaged in these tea bag containers because they hold exactly 100 grams. And this is the real thing. 6,700,000 tablets of yaba packed in tea bags.
3 million tons of Myanmar tea cross international borders every year. So it's the perfect commodity to hide meth in.
100 kilograms ketamine. We're looking at $26 million worth of ketamine and yaba right here.จะถามว่าเนี่ยการที่จะเอายาเยอะขนาดนี้จำนวนเยอะขนาดนี้นะครับเข้ามาในประเทศไทยคือคนที่ทำต้องเยอะแค่ไหนครับ
36เป้เนี่ยก็จะเป็นคนลำเลียง36คนแล้วยังไม่รวมคนคุ้มกันแต่เนี่ยนั่นคือการลำเลียงโดยภูมิประเทศที่เป็นภูเขาป่าเขาแต่ว่าคนลำเลียงที่จากแนวชายแดนเข้ามาเนี่ยส่วนใหญ่ก็จะเป็นคนชาวเขาบ้างอะไรบ้างแต่ที่ลำเลียงจากแนวชายแดนเข้าตอนในจะเป็นคนไทยรับจ้างการจับกุมยิ่งจับเขาได้ยิ่งจับได้จำนวนมากเขาก็จะยิ่งต้องลำเลียงเพิ่มเพื่อมาทดแทนกับของที่ถูกจับกลุ่มดูที่ตอง9ตอง9เนี่ยจะเป็นกลุ่มของว้าแล้วก็จะมีโลโก้ที่ขอบบน
So this is pretty interesting. The 999 5 stars stamped onto the packet of drugs. That's actually the logo of the syndicate behind the production of this batch of drugs.
The 999 and 5-star stamp is the symbol of the Wa Army. The Thai army has the impossible job of stopping the Wa Army's drug smugglers coming across the border with Myanmar, which is over 1,500 miles long and covered by dense jungle.
แต่มันเป็นเส้นทางที่เขาใช้ลำเลียงเลยอย่างนี้คนเลยคนที่ว่าดูเส้นทางเนี่ยเขาจะสเก็ตเส้นทางดูรอย
แล้วป้องกันบริเวณแบบนี้มันยากแค่ไหนครับ
ก็ค่อนข้างจะยากนะเนื่องจากพื้นที่เนี่ยมันเป็นพื้นที่กว้างแล้วป่าภูเขา
The rangers must watch their every step. They are patrolling one of the most heavily landmined areas in the world. In the 1970s, millions were planted to stop communist insurgents. Now, the landmines are a danger to both the smugglers and the rangers.
นี่หน่อยไอ้ทุ่นระเบิด M18 N1 ทุ่นเคโมมันมีจำนวน9ทุ่นที่แจ้งชกไปแล้วใช่ไหม
ใช่แจ้งไปแล้ว
รบกวนพี่ทำใบส่งคืนไปที่กรมพี่
ของ108ใช่ไหมไม่มี
ตอนนี้ไม่มีนะ
ตอนนี้ไม่มี ไม่มี แล้วก็ตรวจการเคสปีที่แล้วเนี่ยวิสามันตรงบริเวณลำห้วยตอนนั้นได้4 ศพ
โอ้
4 ศพเป็นยาคิดเป็นยาก็480,000เขารู้เป็นเจ้าที่เขาสั่งเราสั่งหยุดเขาไม่หยุดยิงก็กดเคโมตายหมดโดนระเบิดเคโม
Army Rangers have laid even more mines called claymores to stop the Wa Army smugglers.
นานขนาดนั้น
ฮะเนี่ยว่าเดินมาถึงเนี่ยพวกเนี้ยพวกนี้เนี่ย
So shit I would not want to be a drug trafficker. This is really difficult to walk through.
shit
เอาออกยังไงอะโอเคได้แล้ว shit and that's why you don't traffic drugs. The scouts who are bringing the drugs across into Thailand would shoot this sign to inform local people that they brought the drugs across and that they're ready for collection. They'll leave them here and then go back to the Myanmar side. But that is a lot of bullet holes.
As so many smugglers invade this jungle, the Army Rangers have given them a nickname.
ถ้าพูดถึงเวลาเนี้ยเขาเรียกว่ากองทัพมดเขาทยอยส่งสมมติว่ายามา1,000,000 เม็ดมาเขาลูกนี้ 200,000 เม็ดแล้วเขาลูกโน้นอีกมา 200,000 เนี่ยเราก็มารวมกันแล้วเขาใช้อย่างเงี้ย
Despite exhaustive daily patrols in landmine jungles, the Thai army intercept less than 10% of drugs that are flooding into the country.
It's crazy to think that there are thousands and thousands of miles that separate Thailand and Myanmar, and it's patrolled by just a handful of people in each area. These guys are the guys who are on the front line, and they're doing a fantastic job, but some of them are pretty young, there's not that many of them, and the borders are extremely porous.
5 miles north and sitting right on the border with Myanmar is VICEEEE. Crime journalist Piyawat has become a local celebrity here after decades of uncovering the scale of the meth trade that cuts right through this town.
Sometimes he arrives at crime scenes before the authorities do, which has cost him quite a bit of trouble with the authorities who are always like, why did you get here before we did? Are you involved in this?
Insider knowledge is the key to understanding how the smugglers managed to move hundreds of tons of meth across the border without being detected.
ต้องรู้ก่อนว่าสมมติว่ามีสายมาบอกหรือเจ้าที่มาบอกโอเคตอนนี้มีกองกำลังมานะกำลังนำยาเสพติดเข้ามาเช่นเปรียบเทียบเช่นช่องทางบ้านป่าเขานะที่จะเข้าพื้นที่ไทยเนี่ย
แล้วจำนวนยาที่เข้ามามันเยอะขึ้นหรือน้อยลงนะครับจากสมัยก่อน
ช่วงนี้หรือว่าที่ผ่านมานี่เยอะขึ้นนะเยอะขึ้นคือจากเดิมเนี่ยสมัย20 ปีนี่ถือว่า10,000 เม็ดหรือถึง100,000 เม็ดถือว่าถ้าจับ1 ครั้งก็เป็นเรื่องที่ใหญ่ละจนปัจจุบันนี่จับ10 ล้าน20 ล้านก็เป็นเรื่องปกติใหญ่ละเหมือนกับขนผักขนอะไรเลยแหละทุกวันเนี่ย
We're going off-road to meet a former spotter for drug runners. He's now a police informant, tipping them off about trafficking on the Thai-Myanmar border.
ไปเลยลงไปดูกันไป
แล้วเราใช้กล้อง
ได้ใช้เลยใช้ได้เลย
ถือมีดอยู่
คือต้องไปเจาะงานครับเจาะงานแทบจะทุกที่ครับไปหมด ขึ้นเขาลงห้วยข้ามน้ำข้ามทะเลไปหมดนั่นคือหน้าที่ผม
จุดเนี้ยมันมีความสำคัญกับเรื่องยาเสพติดยังไงครับ
ครับผมคือเส้นทางเส้นนี้หรือว่าจุดเนี้ยจะเป็นจุดที่สำคัญมากถ้าจะลำเลียงยาผ่านลงไปถึงข้างล่างในเมือง การลำเลียงยามาเนี่ยจะลำเลียงมาไว้ตรงตะเข็บก่อนนะครับแล้วก็จะดูว่าเวลาไหนที่เหมาะสมถึงจะข้ามมาฝั่งไทยถ้ามองแบบนี้ก็เหมือนว่าจะไม่มีทางไปไม่มีที่ไปแต่ข้างล่างจะเป็นทางของเขาเลยจะสลบเท่ากันหมดถือว่าเป็นทางเดินมาเป็นร้อยปีแล้วครับส่วนมากโดยมากนะครับก็จะมีพวกคนมารับเลย
แล้วที่บอกว่าจะดูว่าเวลาไหนเหมาะสมกับที่จะเข้ามาเวลาไหน
ก็ต้องเป็นเวลาที่เจ้าหน้าที่อ่อนกำลังแล้วพักแล้วครับผมนั่นแหละคือเวลาที่เหมาะสมที่สุด
แล้วเขาจะรู้ได้ยังไงครับ
ดึกครับผมมันก็เป็นทีมงานนะครับเจ้าหน้าที่ก็มีทีมงานพวกขนยาก็จะมีทีมงานเหมือนกันครับก็ประมาณนั้นเป็นหูเป็นตาครับผม
แล้วทีมมันจะใหญ่ไหม
คือพวกนี้จะทำกันเป็นขบวนการใหญ่ก็จะมีการวางกำลังกันเป็นจุดเป็นชาวสวนชาวป่าชาวลุงชาวดอยหาโพงหาผักหาทั้งหมู่บ้านนะครับทั้งหมู่บ้านครับทั้งหมู่บ้าน
ว่าเป็น100 กว่าคน
เป็นหลายสิบครับหลายสิบคนครับผมทำงานก็ทำร่วมกันครับ
อย่างเช่นหมู่บ้านอันเนี้ย
ครับ
เกี่ยวไหมหรือ
คือก็ส่วนมากก็เกี่ยวครับส่วนมากก็เกี่ยวเพราะว่าเม็ดเงินตรงนี้มันหาง่ายมันได้มาง่าย
So despite that amazing view over there, this is one of the key routes for drug traffickers to bring drugs into Thailand. There's 2 villages on either side, but the easiest way is just to come straight down the middle. And they'll walk all that distance.
Entire villages in the Golden Triangle have been economically dependent on drug trafficking for decades. The Thai authorities can't arrest their way out of the problem, so as a deterrent, they've imposed some of the toughest drug laws in the world. In a country where drug trafficking is punishable by death and minor possession can land you 20 years in jail, I could be thrown in prison for meeting a trafficker and refusing to reveal my sources.
The meth problem is very much hidden because the government wants to keep it secret. Journalists can't really expose this type of trafficking. They want Thailand to keep on being, a magnet for tourists. Thailand is actually one of the countries in that region with very little investigative reporting. And if they go there and try to do something about it, they can, get thrown in jail as well.
Despite the risk, a team of journalists from Vice has managed to gain access to a major drug trafficker distributing meth across Thailand. To avoid any lengthy prison sentence, the film crew must remain anonymous. Their communications are encrypted and I'm not allowed to know their identities. For the trafficker, allowing cameras into his world is a matter of life and death.
หยุดแล้วในการเราจะแพ็คไว้ตรงขอบประตูตรงนี้นะครับช่องนี้มันจะมีที่ว่างอยู่ยาเสพติดที่ผมเอามาตอนนี้ก็คือเป็นยาไอซ์กับยาบ้าอันนี้คือยาไอซ์ทั้งหมดเนี่ยมี4 ถุงละครึ่งกิโลกรัมก็ทั้งหมด2 กิโลเวลาทำจะไม่ให้ใครรู้เด็ดขาดไม่ว่าเพื่อนหรือซึ่งจะไม่ให้ใครรู้เด็ดขาดเป็นวิดีโอเกี่ยวกับการผลิตยาบ้าซึ่งเป็นการผลิตของชนกลุ่มน้อยครับชนกลุ่มน้อยกลุ่มหนึ่งที่อยู่ในประเทศพม่าตั้งโรงงานอยู่ที่หนึ่งอยู่บนเขาและตัวนี้ที่ว่าถ่ายมาได้ก็คือเพื่อนเข้าไปคุกคีอยู่ในกลุ่มนี้ก็ส่วนผสมมันก็ไม่มีอะไรมากมีผงคาเฟอีนยาไอซ์แล้วก็เป็นแป้งกาวนิดนึง ตัวนี้วันละ 400,000 กว่าเมตรเพราะเป็นเครื่องรุ่นใหม่ก็ตัวนี้เครื่องมันก็ทำงานอัตโนมัติของมันเพียงก็วันหนึ่งก็ประมาณ 400,000 กว่าเมตรซึ่งยาบ้าจะมีสัญลักษณ์คือ WY แล้ว Y จะเป็น Y ตัวเล็ก
WY is known as the world is yours amongst users, and while there are many urban legends about the trademark, according to the American DEA, it's the stamp of the WA Army.
No, you lost it. I said, yeah, I'll take all of these. No, you lost it. You lost it.
Never Illman.
Yeah, no, but there was
4 minutes. The cloud goes silly. Come on, the bad movie on the right.
Yeah, I like when you're on the hosting duties.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's pressure for you, pussy.
No, it's not. How's that pressure? Just reading off what we got plans to do about next.
Yo, my peoples, it's Chugs.
Oh yeah, sorry. Sorry, I need to introduce myself.
Yeah, maybe
now. Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Young Philly.
Yeah, we're back with the Chunks and Philly show. Now, this is actually our first episode that we're filming in 2024.
Yeah.
So happy New Year!
Happy New Year! We just want to say thank you for all of the support. I would say within our first year, but we haven't been going for a year. We just started in 2023.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been phenomenal, man. It's been such a nice change having people come up to me and go, "Yo, I love you and Chunks' podcast," rather than like other stuff. You know what I mean? Because this is our baby.
Yes, it's our baby, of course. And guys, please just let us know in the comments what kind of conversations you want to see, who you want to see on the podcast potentially. At the end of the day, we're doing it for you guys, so we want to make sure that you guys are enjoying it, because like I said, we're kind of just freestyling at this point. We're just having fun, enjoying, talking, and hoping that you guys enjoy it. But like I said, it is the new year, 2024. So please talk to me. What are your New Year's resolutions? You know how everyone's got that.
New Year's resolution this year is to travel the world a lot more. Yeah, I want to go to loads of countries that I've always wanted to go to.
Name them.
I think the main one being South Africa.
Wow.
I've always wanted to go.
Did Sharky motivate you to make that trip?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Obviously, I know we get love out there anyway, but just my thing was, is it dangerous? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And clearly it's not, because my boy come back in one piece and he had nothing but good things to say about South Africa. Yeah. So yeah, I want to go South Africa. I really want to go Miami.
Miami? Yeah, that was a dangerous one. That's a lot of money I had.
Yeah.
Spend a lot of money.
Yeah. To the point in the group chat that I've made for the Miami trip, I've already said, man, them start putting like every month
to the side,
couple little, you know what I mean? Just so you're not surprised when we get there. Where else would I like to go? I'd like to go Cuba.
Cuba?
Yeah.
Okay.
Really like to go Cuba.
Fair play, man.
And that's just the main three. Apart from that, I just want to go.
Do you believe in New Year's resolutions, by the way? Because mine personally, I have.
Believe in love after love.
Why would you even sing? It's literally nothing, no correlation.
But that is a banger.
I don't know about them tunes, man. Them ones are kind of meaty. But in terms of New Year's resolutions, my one is to go back into the gym. Now, I don't know if you guys have realized, but I've been seeing a lot of comments. They've realized I've dropped off, and I have, because.
Why did you drop off?
I'll tell you why I dropped off for the gym stuff and just eating and everything in the gym. Because when you reach a certain target, I feel like, let me know if you guys can relate in the comments down below, you get very complacent.
Yeah.
You reach a target and you're kind of like, okay, well, what do I do now? So then when you get to that target and then realize, you know what, I'm happy with where I've been. So then you just kind of start eating how you usually were and normally were, and then your bad habits start coming back into play. You don't go to the gym as often.
So what are you going to do different this time?
This time, I'm setting minor goals, and basically every other month I'll keep setting new goals. So then it's like I've always got something to aim for, instead of like getting it 6 months in and in the last 6 months I just fall off and gain back what I've gained lost in the first 6 months. So I think for me it's just smaller targets and being happy with them. But in New Year's resolutions, I do agree with them. I think it's always good to try and change for the better. Of course, people should be trying to change for the better regardless of the month. But it's something got to do with the mental, man. Like, you know what I mean? It's a new year, it's a new me. And yes, let us know your comments. Let us know in the comments what New Year resolutions you have set for yourself, because I want to see. Because obviously a lot of people are like, I don't want to drink again, or I don't want to, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
What was your favorite moment of 2023?
I'd be lying if I said Like it's something I ain't into.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it's just sorry. I don't want to say that.
Yeah.
No, but I'd be lying if I said that. I really want to sing the song again. What was the question? What was my favorite thing of 2023?
Yeah, your favorite moment.
I don't know off the top of my head. I generally don't.
Yeah.
But key highlights, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, Umrah. There you go. Yeah, it's religious pilgrimage. That was my favorite time of the year. That's guaranteed. What would you say yours was?
Visiting Australia.
Wow, very good. March or the second time?
Whenever it was me, you,
Harry,
Darkest, Harry.
March.
Are we missing a name? Was
Darkest.
it just us four?
Mark, Darkest, Harry, me, you, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Was it just us four, yeah?
It was us four, bro. That's what I'm saying. It's elite, bro.
Because then I went again after that, but it didn't hit the same.
No, of course it didn't.
It was good though.
No, it wasn't. No, it was good.
But with you, man, it was top tiersy.
There you go.
What made it so good? What made it so good? I keep hearing about this like mythical trip, and everyone goes, "Really good trip."
What, as in with chunks or the?
Just in general, like what was it?
I think for me, I'd say because it's like, we're 24 hours away from where we live, right? And we're getting clocked, if not the same, maybe even more in Australia on a day-to-day basis. It's like I've always heard about Australia as well growing up, and it's kind of like so far away.
Yeah,
and like,
it sounds like a mythical
place.
place.
It sounds like a mythical place, but it's kind of like going there and thinking, rah, like they're similar to us. You know what I mean? And it's like the love, the weather was nice. It's like the people are very nice. It's like there was so much different aspects and facets as to why I've really enjoyed that trip. And that was from my point of view. To be fair, I feel like Philly's probably the same.
Yeah, exactly the same. It was just kind of shocking to see how much love we got out there. Like we go to, don't get me wrong, we go to different countries and we get this like the same love, but they're like more attainable, like Sweden, like you know what I mean, Denmark. But like to go all the way to Australia, like the other side of the world, and be recognized and be shown the love that we got like that. Like we'd have people outside the hotel and that, or the apartment wherever we were staying, just like waiting for us to come out, and that is crazy. Like mad experience.
It looks a bit like when you guys travel. It's like, do you remember the Olsen twins?
No, who are they?
Do you remember the Olsen twins?
Am I meant to know?
I've heard of their name.
Do you remember? Do you not know them?
Yeah, no, I've heard of
They were like
what the mixed race boys that eat all the food?
No.
They're the Hodge twins.
Yeah, they're the Hodge twins.
Yeah, they're cold. They was cold, innit? I pick up the Hodge twins. They was cold.
They're still around.
Man, this burger's in spicy shit.
They're still about, but I think they just support. Once they supported Donald Trump, and that it went left for them. Yeah.
Oh no, it went very right for them. Like it actually did. They did really well off.
No, but the black people kind of dropped off them. That was their real supporters. Then you know what I mean? The people that were supporting them. But what incredible? Yeah, cold as hell. I know it's drinky, nicey.
So who are these twins then?
Do you not know the Olsen twins?
No.
These were like two little blonde Californian girls who like travel the world. They've got like little movies on Netflix. They're still quite popular, I think. Like they went to Paris and stuff.
That ain't my bag, man.
Yeah.
That ain't my bag, man.
But they were pretty famous. Maybe when I was young, maybe not. You know, that's like
that's probably why then.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
you're very
I'm Harry Panera way.
Yeah. What was your biggest moment of 2023, Lawrence?
Starting the podcast with you guys.
Oh, shut up.
No, seriously.
Get lost.
Yeah, he's coming.
Fine, good enough.
God, there must be something that.
Good enough.
It doesn't even necessarily have to be linked to you. It could be something that happened. Like it could be, I don't know.
Oh, so, okay. If you want that,
Trent's free kick or something. I don't know, something random. Do you know what I mean?
My son going to school. That's wild.
Oh,
you know,
that's
incredible.
nice.
First school days are like emotion.
Yeah, of course, you start wilding and that. You see them wearing a jumper and he's walking to school and you have to actually drop him off there and leave. It's crazy.
Did you cry?
Oh, yeah. Like I left and I cried straight away.
Yeah.
You guys, I feel like you guys will know what that's like.
No. I already know. I'm an emotional wreck, like
but
with my family. You know what I mean?
It's also scary for like the student. I think about my first day in secondary school, and it was mental, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, think about it, bro. You don't know no one. You have to make friends. You got to fill people out.
Oh, you didn't have people from your primary school there? That's why it was.
Everyone went.
I had like 7, 8 people from my primary, so we all chilled in our primary school groups at the beginning. I still remember the first like couple of weeks. It was always me and my boys from primary. Then realizing that there's actually much cooler people around there, blood. Yeah. I just start busting the corner.
She's
not my friends. That
everyone went to
see the color of her skin.
That's where young lads went. LB. My brother Abdul Rashid. He was one of my best.
That's why you love that name so much.
Yeah, he was one of my best friends in primary school. One youth called Nardo.
Yeah. Horror name.
But yeah, everyone went to that school and I ended up going Catford High. But yeah, I'm glad though. I'm glad I went to my school because in my school I was the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think if I went to Sedgewa, I just would have been one of the guys.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? But because there weren't a lot of ballers, there was only me, Nathaniel Edwards and Malik. You feel me?
Sound like ballers.
Yeah.
One of them's a left winger.
Yes. The Malik kid.
Yeah, man, yeah.
Used to play for
Rapid.
Most likely they're not gonna.
What? Yeah, he moved from Italy.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I remember when he joined the school, yeah, like me and a couple of other people used to play Sunday League, you feel me?
Yeah.
So then the conversation, his English wasn't even that good. The conversation was like, yeah, come play for my Sunday League team. And then he would chat to him in his lesson. And then I'll buck him at break, you get what I'm saying?
Crazy. Buck him at break is meant to say that.
No, buck him, not buck him.
Oh, but you sound like you're buck
see
him.
where your mind's at, you're
Yeah.
like buck him, man.
Yeah.
So,
Get out of that one first. All right, look, talk to me, man. I want to transition into this now, yeah?
Go on.
Do you dream? That's actually a very good question.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Why does it sound like nightmare-y?
No, because I've had some dark ones.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
ones
go
I
on.
don't even want to talk about on it. Yeah, like weird ones as well.
Yeah.
Like once I had a... No, I can't even say this one. I can't even...
It's fun that this is on an iPad right now because I just had a nightmare this today.
Did you?
Yeah. It was a weird
Do
one.
dreams tell you stuff?
I don't
Because
know
I had a
about all
dream
of
that MH turned gay.
Mark Hamilton?
Yeah. No, not M. Hunter.
Michael
Michael
Hamilton.
Hamilton, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, in the dream he was gay.
Nigga, you saying I'm racist against my own
crazy.
people like you're
I
not
don't
black,
know.
nigga. You're black.
You know, I had a dream, yeah? I lived
Sorry
in
to
a
let you know,
apartment
nigga.
block,
You're black.
and everybody was
but-
a devil worshiper in my apartment
Nigga,
block. I swear to God, it was the
Just looking at
weirdest
face
thing.
value, you wouldn't think
What?
she's black. Just like
Now I had one mad dream.
nobody would.
I would see a random hand.
Nobody knew
Don't
she had
ask
a
me
black
why,
dad,
bro.
nigga.
It was just the hands like that.
On the
She
mains.
doesn't-
And I'd be like in the park and then the hand would be like that.
Yeah, crazy.
What is that? Do you reckon dreams tell you stuff?
So
yeah?
I'm looking it up on Dream Interpreter.
Go on.
Is that okay if I
Yeah,
do
go
that?
on, go on.
So I've got meanings for hands.
Yeah.
Okay. To dream of hands represents your relationships with those around you and how you connect with the world.
You're giving too many handouts.
No,
That's what it means.
I was scared in the dream. I was scared of this hand. I'm being... Oh, see, this is why I don't open up my heart to people. What's up, bro?
On a level though, I had a dream that I was living in an apartment block full of devil worshippers, and one of them came and knocked on my door and that, and it was just kind of like welcoming me, but it was kind of like a weird little undertone of what's this guy on. And then I remember waking up and randomly I was living in a mansion now, and as I woke up and I left my room, there was different people in my yard, and then they looked up and saw me and started to run out of the house. So I said, what is happening? And it's kind of like they were staring at me, like smiling, and they started running. I started chasing. I said, what's these men on? They just disappeared, bro. I said, yeah, you know what? Get me out of this dream now. You know when you can kind of self-destruct and say, yeah, get me out. Yeah. I got out of it. I woke up. I said, yeah, can't do this one. Why have I woke up in a mansion and there's random brothers running up my yard?
Do you know what I've never had, boys? A wet one.
Wet dream?
Really?
Yeah.
I've never had a wet dream, you know?
That means that you're getting active very regularly. Because you have a wet dream.
Yeah, sometimes I'll have a little wank before bed.
That's
so
why.
Maybe that's why.
That's probably why.
You're depriving yourself. Just have a couple of days off.
I don't think I'd like that though. Like halfway through the night, my situation just sticking.
You're a bit beyond it now as well. Like you're not really in that age group where you sort of go, oh.
No, that's mad, you know. I think wet dreams are mad. Comment down below if you've had wet dreams. I think they're
fairly common.
Of what?
Very common.
Is it, yeah?
Yeah, very common.
Oh. Why are you smiling at that?
Yeah?
Had a wet one?
Nah, the thing is, you have to understand. You know, if you're not regularly getting action, then it happens. Just speaking up for the
Is
people that
it?
don't get action, man. Because you're just too, obviously, you know how to get action and that because you're the guy.
That's crazy.
Might be a
I've
way of
never-
regulating.
I've never understood that.
So we're
And then
regulating. There you go.
Have you had dreams of like you achieving your real life dreams? So I had a dream once that I played for England.
Oh, yeah.
I got subbed off. I got subbed on for Sterling.
Yeah.
Put in the back of the net. I got the winner.
Do you know what I was confused? I was playing for Liverpool, right? But then I was running up against Trent Alexander-Arnold. So I was like, what kind of team is this, blood? Isn't he meant to be my right back? So I was confused about that game. I don't know why they put him
Man
in the
said
left wing.
about that game like he's an actual baller.
No, in my life, I didn't understand it. Like, I was left winger.
It does.
For some
It does
reason,
matter.
Why would they
What
put me
position
left
you
wing?
wearing?
Mercurials.
Yeah, socks all the way up.
Yeah, now to the flipping knees.
What number you have on the back?
7. Left wing, yeah, it was me and my one. And they said Mohammed at the back. I don't know why I could see my own shirt at the back.
Yeah.
It was, you know, dreams, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was running and I was wearing a Liverpool top. But then Trent was the right back I was coming up against. I don't understand. Does that mean Trent's
You beat him.
gonna
You,
move?
you get past him.
Done him. Absolutely
Is
dumped
it?
him. Dropped him. And he dropped on the floor, whipped it in, and then Mark Viduka scored. Why is Mark Viduka still playing?
Oh,
It was weird, bro. You know
Techie.
dreams? Yeah, you can literally, it can be what you want, bro. I've had some wild ones, man.
Yeah.
Some people used to make up. So I remember as a kid, I'd have very vivid dreams, and I'd tell some of my friends at school, and then you could tell when the other kids were just making up dreams just to be part of
On
the
the spot.
conversation.
Yeah.
Because you can tell that's a genuine dream on his part. Because who thinks of Mark Viduka just out of nowhere?
Bro,
You know what I mean?
Mark Viduka, and he headed it, and he ran towards me, we hugged each other. Dream just locked off. I was thinking, please, let me see if I get a goal. You know what I mean? It was at the 34th minute.
That's a love for Australia. That
Maybe.
No, Maddest Dream
You're gonna be the one that saves me. Why are we singing it?
Maddest Dream is Michael.
I don't know. It's one of them. Have you told him about the dream?
No. But I know he loves gal, so.
Yeah.
Did you ever have repetitive dreams? Have you ever had like repeated
Yes,
dreams?
I used to have like nightmares back in the days all the time.
Oh, no.
Yeah, bad nightmares to the point I had to have Quran Sar. Quran Sar basically means when a sheikh comes to your house and starts to read Quran on you. Because it's like, man was having these same nightmares every day.
You don't want it to work?
I don't. In Islam, it's like a thing where if you don't have a nightmare, you're not really meant to speak about it. I don't know why. I don't know the actual reason. Maybe I need to do my research upon that. But it was just this reoccurring dream. And it was like, to the point where I can tell what it led to. Because, for example, like, I'll be sleeping in the room in the night, yeah? And obviously the lights are all off and stuff. And I'd see something in my room and it turns into something else. Like, for example, it could be a chair with like a jacket on it, and I think someone is sitting there and he's just staring at me. Do you know what I mean? So it's like my dreams ended. It just became a wild one, bro. To the point where